Hello everybody, this is Opibar Office from Fab Trips, and today I want to discuss why Africans don't cruise after this. Before I start to discuss about Africans not cruising, let me just make some points very clear. When I say Africa, I mean the continent of Africa. For a lot of people, they consider Africa as a country, and that actually irks me, being someone from one of the countries in Africa. If you're going to refer to a specific country in Africa, refer to that country specifically. Just to put things in context, Africa is made up of 52 different countries, or it might be 54. And about 2,000 languages are spoken within the continent of Africa. Not only that, there is a diversity of ethnicity, diversity of tribes, and diversity of cultures within the continent of Africa. So when I say Africa, I'm talking predominantly about most Africans, not generalizing about all Africans. And then one thing we all have to understand, or well, you have to understand, is Africa is huge. To put it in context, you can fit the United States, China, and Brazil into Africa and still have room to spare. That is how huge Africa is. So before I start this, I just wanted to make that clear. When I'm discussing Africa, I am talking about the continent of Africa and not a country in Africa or the country Africa, because Africa is not a country. Africa is a continent. So if you look at this chart above, or is it here, you would notice that nobody, or at least not many people, cruise out of Africa. And there are 5 major reasons why. The first reason is this: there are no cruise ports off the continent of Africa. So of all the coasts of Africa, there is only one cruise port, and that cruise port is in South Africa, and even then it is seasonal. So within a short period in a year, cruise lines, or some cruise lines, will home port in South Africa, and after a few months they move on to other regions in the world. Rightly so, most people do not cruise in Africa. And because cruise ports are not found in most coasts in Africa, it is not well known, and most people hence do not cruise. Number 2, cruising in Africa is terribly expensive. For the average African to cruise is actually quite expensive. The cost for a cruise for a family of 4 or 5 will run you into about maybe $3,000-4,000. That's not to mention your travel. So for the average African who would want to cruise, they would have to fly from whatever country they're from, fly to the closest port, which is most likely in Europe. Oh, by the way, for most countries in Africa, it is actually less expensive to fly into Europe than to fly to South Africa. But they will have to fly, get on a cruise, go on a cruise, and then fly back home. But most people in Africa cannot afford this. Now, one of the things that is used to measure the wealth of individuals in a country, in an average way or a per capita way, is GDP per capita. So GDP per capita essentially means the average amount of money in the economy per person. The country with the highest GDP per capita in Africa is Seychelles, and that GDP per capita is $35,000. The next country, Mauritius, is about $23,000. Now, to put this in context, the GDP per capita in the United States is $65,000. Yes, almost double the richest country in Africa. Now, most countries in Africa have a GDP per capita less than $5,000. The most populous country in Africa, Nigeria, with over 200 million people, has a GDP per capita of $5,200. Yes, that bad. So now you can see why most Africans do not go or do not take cruises, just because it is expensive. So let's talk about Africans who live in the US or in Europe. Why don't they cruise? Well, the same reason, as far as they're concerned, and it's a mental thing, it is expensive. One of the reasons why I never got into cruising, despite the fact that I was in the United States, was really because I just assumed it was expensive. Well, let's go on vacation. It's expensive, without actually looking at the cost and figuring out a way to actually save for it. So it's that mentality that it is expensive, and because it is expensive, I am not going to cruise. Now, the third one is most Africans don't know about cruising. Yes, we have no clue about what cruising is. The closest I knew about cruising growing up was Love Boat. And as far as I was concerned, it was just simply a TV show. And so you can imagine my surprise when one day my boss in the US tells me, oh, he just came back from a cruise. I was like, what? People cruise? There's something like cruising? Actually something real? Yes, I was surprised that cruising actually does exist, and actually a large amount of people do cruise. But most Africans don't even know cruising exists, obviously for the reason because cruise lines do not port in most places in Africa. Like I said, just one. And leading to the fourth one, Africans don't vacation. Most Africans don't vacation. I did not know that vacation was a thing growing up. I knew my parents took leave. There is maternity leave, there is the annual leave, there is sick leave. Everything was a leave. And in my mind, when you say you're taking a leave, it just means you're leaving work for a few days or weeks to go and handle a problem or go and deal with something. Most Africans will travel to their village or to their hometown, but not really to relax or to rest. It's usually for a festival, for a wedding, for an event, or just to simply take care of certain things at home, but certainly not to relax. It was after I got to the United States that I actually learned about the term vacation. Now, vacation and leave are simply the same thing, but you know, the name you call something actually changes the way you think about it. For the most part, Africans don't go on vacation. They take leaves, not vacations. And vacations denotes rest and relaxation, and leave just denotes going to do more work somewhere else. So Africans don't vacation. The good thing though is this. It is changing. There is now more awareness about the idea that we need to vacation. There is more of an awareness that there is a need to relax and actually enjoy yourself. But we still have one hump. Where I come from, there is this popular saying that it is joy and enjoyment that would actually kill you. Yeah, you can see why they don't vacation where I'm from. So, Africans don't vacation, they just go on leave. That's just it. The fifth one, and perhaps the most significant one, is fear. Now, I'll break this into two parts. The first fear is a fear of water. Most Africans are afraid of water because they believe if they are too close to water or they go too deep into water, they'll drown. And so they do not like water. They are so afraid of water, they don't even want to learn how to swim so that they will be able to survive in the event they fall into water. That is how scared Africans are of water. And in case you may not have noticed, most Africans don't take part in aquatic sports, in world events like the Olympics or World Championships. They just don't. The most famous African to take part in a swimming competition is Eric the Eel. And you can look at this or this link just to learn a little bit about Eric the Eel. And he's famous not because of his swimming prowess, but the lack thereof. Don't want to make fun of him, but you need to see the Eric the Eel video. Anyways, Africans are definitely afraid of water. And the idea is if you now put them on a cruise ship and the cruise ship goes into the middle of the ocean and something happens and it sinks, then all their fears will now be realized. And most Africans will tell you, I am not getting on a ship in the middle of the ocean just to go there and die. So Africans are definitely afraid of water. The second thing is almost similar to the first, but it's actually huge, and it's called Mami Water. Now, if you don't know what Mami Water is, Mami Water simply means water goddess. So most Africans believe that there is a water goddess, a seducing goddess. They'll seduce men into the water and force those men to have children for them. And yes, that is not an enticing thing. You essentially don't have your freedom. And if there is a woman in your life, they will attack such women, that will cause barrenness. It's a whole slew of things. Now, in the West, Mami Water is known as mermaids. So mermaids in the West have gone through a re-imaging. Their image have been polished to be this beautiful, sensual creatures that men really love. But underlying in that story is also the fact that they seduce men and draw them into the sea and they don't return. It's pretty much that harsh reality that we have in Africa. So most Africans will tell you, I am not moving near the water because of Mami Water. And there are different cultures who believe strongly in Mami Water, from Africa to South America, and yes, even the West, your mermaids. It's just the way in which you view them. But most Africans are afraid of Mami Water, and they do not want anything to do with Mami Water or any water goddess. Absolutely not. So these are the reasons Africans don't cruise. But hopefully within the next decade or so, maybe that will change. If you think there are other reasons why you believe Africans don't cruise, please put in a comment. If you found this interesting and you like more of this, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to get more of this content. Okay? So to all the Africans out there, if you can, try cruising. It's a great way to vacation. See you next time. Bye.